Hi, my name is Rachael Griffith. I'm the managing attorney for Griffith Law Office. We're a family law firm in Tyler, Texas, and we practice family law in Smith County and the surrounding counties. Today we're going to talk about standing orders in your family law case. Your case, if it's family law related, has to do with children or divorce. In most counties in Texas, they have their own set of standing orders that apply to each and every case that's filed that has to do with children or divorce. Smith County has standing orders for both scenarios. It's one set of standing orders, and you have to attach it to your petition whenever you file a petition for divorce or a petition for custody or child support. And it applies to your case whenever you file it, and it applies and can be held against the other party once they're served with it. What does this mean? What is this order that you now have to comply with? Well, in Smith County, there's a section of the order that applies to children, and there's a list of injunctions. There are prohibitions of how you shouldn't act in a family law case. You need to read through that list. It's about a dozen things that apply to both parents or the parties in the suit, and it will tell you what you can and can't do with or around your children. You can't change their primary residence outside of the state of Texas, or you can't disparage the other parent in front of the child. You can't talk about the litigation. You can't cancel their health insurance while the case is pending. There's a whole list of things that you cannot do, and that if you do break that order, the other party can file an enforcement against you and ask for contempt, saying, hey judge, they violated this county's standing order and we need to hold them accountable. Now, whenever it is a case for divorce that would also involve property, there's an even longer list of things you can't do when it comes to your property, like changing beneficiaries on an account, withdrawing your retirement, spending your retirement without written court order or consent from the other party, refinancing assets without the consent of the other party. There's lots of insurance-related, debt-related injunctions that prohibit you from acting. You can't open the other person's mail. There's some things on there when you read them, they're pretty common sense, but some people just don't know. You can't track the other person. So once you file for divorce, even if you had some parenting app or you're on each other's location sharing on your iPhones, if you have a standing order that says you're no longer allowed to track the other person's location, then you no longer can do that. You need to adjust the settings and make sure you're not violating the court order. You can't open the other person's mail or email. You can't change somebody's logins for their bank access, things like that. Once you read them, they are very much common sense, but you need to make sure you're complying with all of them, and talk to your attorney if you have any questions about these standing orders. Look at your county. A lot of times these counties, if you're thinking about filing something and you haven't yet filed and you want to know what your county's standing orders are, you can go to the district clerk's webpage within your county and find a link for the local standing orders and see what's on that list. Is it kid-only issues, or is it children and property? What kinds of cases does it apply to? It's not the same in every single county. Some counties have standing orders just for children cases, like custody, child support, modifications, enforcements, and then a lot of them have standing orders for both property and child support, or both property and kid issues. And very few counties are left now that don't have any standing orders. There are some in East Texas that don't have any standing orders, but you'll usually be able to find that information on the district clerk's website for that county. Or whenever you go for your consult for your case, you can ask the attorney that you're talking to about the local standing orders and make sure you're in compliance and preparing for compliance before you file. Another important part about most of these standing orders is refraining from posting on social media and in negative light about your case. A lot of times after a separation or a fight with a co-parent, a lot of people these days are taking to TikTok and Instagram, and they want to post all their dirty laundry on the internet. And while it may be your First Amendment right to do so, there might be a court order that blocks you from doing that, especially if children are involved. The court does not want the kids to just inadvertently see these things and it affect them negatively. So make sure you keep your conversations to your close family when your children are not around so that you're not breaking your court order. A lot of these standing orders will apply if you run a business as well. You'll be able to operate your business as you normally do, but you shouldn't sell off any assets, try to close or dissolve a business outside of the normal course or conduct of your business. And so you need to pay attention to those standing orders and make sure you're in compliance there. And if you had something pending that would have violated the order before you filed, try to get a special court order in place that would allow you to do that so that it's not looked at like you're intentionally violating the order once you've filed in. Other parts of the property provisions talk about not destroying the other person's property. A lot of people, when they're really triggered after a fresh separation, want to kick the other person out of a home, and sometimes that involves packing up their stuff for them, setting it outside. You got to be really careful. I've seen cases where boxes of items were left out in the rain, and that was considered a violation of the standing orders because it destroyed the other party's personal items. You want to be respectful in litigation, and even if it's really frustrating or really hard to be patient to get some of these things taken care of, you need to follow the court order and be patient and make sure you're in compliance with all local orders and rules.